Hello, everyone. So today we're having Matthieu with us, who will show us or help us contribute to Angular. And I'm going to let him present himself.
Hi, I'm Matt, also known as Jean-Mesh or Jean if you want. I'm a software engineer. Doing a lot of open source contribution on Angular and other repo also, and I will help you today to land your first feature on Angular.
Cool. Thanks. So what Matthieu didn't say is that he started, I think your first contribution was like 1 year ago.
1 year ago, almost in early November to 2022.
And then he went into some contribution frenzy, and now he's an Angular collaborator,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Younes.
Cool. And so the idea of this video started because we had this discussion where I was thinking it would be nice to have a syntactic sugar for AppInitializer injection token. And Matthieu was like, okay, let's do it. And I was like, wait. What we could do is that we could do it in a video and you could show me around, because I think it's like my first contribution to Angular, which is not like documentation or something. And so
and it could be useful to other users. So we'll show you how we can develop it and do all the things that's necessary for the PR, and hopefully land that smaller incremental feature.
Cool.
Let's start it.
Perfect. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, perfect.
So what I did here is that I cloned the Angular repository on GitHub, and from there I created a new branch for the feature we want to land. I don't think there's any specific naming convention here. You do whatever you want.
Your branch is on your own repo, so there is no rules on it.
It doesn't matter. So don't stick to what I did here. And as I'm passionate about TDD, let's start with a test.
Let's start with a test. So do you know first where we want to add this new function we want to create?
I have a little idea, but so the first thing is I'm pretty sure it's in the Angular core package.
Yeah. So maybe we can show the people how the framework is organized in the repo. So as you see, we have a lot of directories, and all the packages you are used to import in your app are located in packages. So here, perfectly, if you open it, you see all the famous packages you're used to use. So animation, common, core, elements, forms, etc. And there are also other ones less known, bench press for benchmarks. What do we have also? Some for the server. Bazel is like a deprecated one for the Bazel support. Etc. So what we want to do today is add a new function to the core package.
Now let's figure out where the test is.
Yes, and maybe first localize where the token is defined. And I don't have it in mind. It's the app initializer we're looking for, right?
Exactly.
So first, what we can do is just search. So just write app init, and
initializer,
and it's in app init.
And then it's just re-exported.
It's exported. Everything that's public needs to be re-exported. Probably we will add our function in this one, so we need to find the test file corresponding for where we currently are.
Wait. So the app initializer is here.
Okay. Is here at the root, so in source. So we're going directly to go to the parent directory, and you will find the test file.
Okay, so back to the test folder, right?
Right here.
And here I should find it in the equivalent file, the application init spec. Right?
Reference. And maybe there is an app init spec. Perfectly. That's the file we're gonna change.
Okay.
And this when you're doing some Angular development, so we'll recognize that we are using Jasmine for the testing. So nothing crazy.
might be confusing a bit, but just to add some spice to this, I'm going to add. I have like an auto revert script that will start. Like I'm going to start with a 5-minute timer, so it's just to spice up things a little bit. Once we start making changes, we have 5 minutes to make a commit. So this way we can do baby steps. This will force Matthieu and I to make baby steps. You don't have to use that, of course, and but it's just a funny thing. And if it's annoying, we'll stop it. It's just for fun.
Like you said, it's just to spice up things.
Exactly. So here I noticed all these tests are related to AppInitializer.
Yes.
Should we create a described into this one, or I think it's probably a good fit?
We could just with the new function name we're gonna create.
Okay, so maybe at the bottom.
Yes, I'll do it like that. Yeah.
Describe, and I think I'd call the function. I was thinking to stick to the standalone.
So
conventions like start with provide,
something like that, because we want to provide the app initializer.
Yeah, and here we can just. I like to first start by just maybe naming our test.
Yes,
and I was thinking maybe we just want to make sure that the function we give it is executed when we initialize. It should provide.
Something, so we should get an object. Yeah. Should provide.
Or it should run it. It should run the initializer.
No, we don't run it. We return it.
We just provide it actually.
When you call provide, mostly it returns either one object or a list, an array of providers with object provide and use class, use factory, etc.
Okay, we could do that. So we just make sure that it's returning like the so it should return the app initializer,
for example. Let's start with that.
Like providing provider configuration, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good, because we could have also just tested like the whole thing, like initialize the app and use the provide, but as it's just syntactic sugar, we could just test that. It's
I think the rest is already tested. What we want to do right here is that the function returns what we're expecting, so a provider that will give us something. And we can do maybe a second test later to pass it to the test bed and see if it provides something.
Yeah, we could do that, but we'll see if it's really useful, because it's a very interesting thing, but that's more about testing theory. It's more of like here it's interesting to check what it returns, because the thing it is returning, which will be the app initializer configuration, which is, do we have an example here? Which is this app initializer, use value, etc. This is part of the public API, so it's fine to make the assertion. But if the function was returning something pretty internal, maybe it would be nicer to have like a bigger test that just makes sure that the thing we provided is
of course.
And now what I like to do is that sometimes I just think about all my tests first, and depending on the tool I'm using, you can either exclude the test, or with Jasmine, there is this thing where you can mark the test as pending, and it will not check the assertions that are in it. And this way we're like, okay, this is work in progress.
But I would start to have a fit to just run that single test, because we have hundreds of tests on the core package.
Oh yeah, I see. I'm always afraid of fit. Like if you commit the fit,
you can't, because we have a linter that prevents it. So if you when you open the PR, the linter will just check it and just throw an error, because we have a remaining fit into the code base.
Okay, that's a good thing.
We've got a lot of guards, so it prevents people to doing let's say bad code. So it's not an issue.
Okay, cool. So here, just to make baby steps, I'm gonna add a test to like add empty spec for provide app initializer. Of course, these commits are very, very tiny, but at the end we will squash everything.
We'll squash it, and we'll show you how to format correctly the commit message to follow the commit message guidelines.
Oh yeah, because I didn't put the scope right.
Yeah, we will look at it at the end if you want, after the squash. So now we have a single test, and maybe try to write a failing test so we can see that it runs.
Oh, just to make it fail? You just want to show that?
Just to check, because the first thing we want to do is to run the test, and because it's not that straightforward, I just wanted to show you how to run it through Bazel.
Okay, so here you have to remove the pending, because otherwise the test will not fail. So here I really want it to fail.
Perfect.
And
just to speed everything up, I will just add the fit.
Oh yeah, thank you. Sorry.
So good.
Okay, and now
in the console,
here I noticed. So you can choose the packages, right? You don't have to run the whole workspace.
Yes, exactly. That's the power of Bazel. You can just run the tests you need, and it can take sometimes at the beginning if you didn't compile first, but it uses a lot of caching. But when it's cached, you're gonna have really peak performance, and just run the single test that you just changed.
Yeah.
So
by the way, my recommendation is that's what I did before the video, is that before making any contribution, run yarn test run the test on all the packages before, because it can take
it can take up to 5-10 minutes. No problem. Yeah, good idea, Yunus. So do you know how to run the test?
I've looked at that, and so what I noticed is that the cool thing is that you don't have to go into your Bazel internals, and there is a yarn test command here that runs the Basilisk, which is something that will download Bazel and stuff. Exactly. And then you can choose, and you correct me if I'm wrong, here you can choose the packages. I don't know if you really have to put the slashes, or you can just go
double slash. It's to indicate it's a Bazel command. So packages, that's the path. Then we go to core, and then we go to test.
Right. Okay. And then I can run this, or I can filter.
Oh, you can filter. Yeah. It depends. For example, if we run the test on a Node, or if we run it on a headless browser.
Okay. Yeah.
So right here, that's the one to run through Node. And if I'm correct, I will check on my side. But this one is fully, on Node. It's not on. So it runs on everything. But some tests, we do have an early return. If we are on Node, just run nothing, and it will only run on the browsers.
Yeah, the test fails, which makes sense.
Fails, and with what we wrote. So single test run, and it failed. That's what we have at the end of the log.
Okay. And is there a way to filter the tests here from the command line, like instead of doing the fits? I don't think it's possible with
No, right? I don't know that way. I've always run it through this command, and for the other packages, and just filter it with the fit.
Okay.
Or an fdescribe if you have multiple tests you want to run at the same time.
Okay. And I also noticed that you can run the same command with
run
Bazel. It will watch the tests.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's not super fast. But then at least like each time we change the tests, it will run it again. So hopefully we'll not have to run the tests like manually every time. So we can just switch.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So here it failed. Now back to our tests. Okay. Now here, what I like to do is to describe what we want to test, just what I call comment-driven development or comment-driven testing. You just describe what we want. So I'm thinking of the API could be something like, I don't know, like we call provideAppInitializer, and we'll give it a function. Okay. Or maybe we'll keep a reference. Maybe we'll create the function before and keep a reference, and just make sure it's the same reference in the returned configuration.
For example, yes.
So we'll do this. We'll create a function and provide app initializer, and then let's just check that the returned value is something that should be like this. Provide.
Yeah, it's of type provider. Yeah.
Multi true, right? it should provide
multi-true,
it
yeah, of
because it's
course.
an array. And here it can provide, that's where it gets tricky, because it's not just providing the function. We want the DI to work there.
Mm-hmm.
So here,
it's still use factory, of course, yeah.
We'll have to use factory, and but then the thing is that we will not be able to just check that the function is there. Our test will not be reliable enough.
We're gonna need to check with a spy that the function did actually run.
Yeah, so we'll have to run that function, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's reset the whole thing and rethink our test, as we're not going to do this like that. So what I do here, so instead of returning the app initializer, what would be better is that it should call the provided function when app is initialized, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do something like provide the function through provide app initializer to testbed blah 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 providers, and then we can just initialize the app. So we will just use the same function, the run initializers function, and then we'll have to check that the provided function has been called.
Yeah.
We don't even have to use spies here. I mean, we could just set like a Boolean value in the function to make the test even easier to read and maintain.
Yeah, of course.
So we have 2 minutes before making another commit. So now we described our test.
Okay.
Of course, at the end, we will squash all the changes and make like a proper commit for the whole thing.
And as you can see, every commit takes a bit of time because we have a pre-commit hook.
So we had a little problem with VS Code on my machine, so just switch to WebStorm. And first thing is that we have to provide the app initializer through the testbed. We'll use the testbed configure testing module, right? And here, instead of the whole provide app initializer, blah, 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 the thing that we want, and that's the key thing here, is that we want to run provide app initializer, which is our new function. And we will provide it, we'll give it a function that will set some Boolean, we will declare here to true. And this is the thing that we will check after the app is initialized, right? And so it's false initially because it's not initialized, and that's the developer
function we need to implement then.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is our goal. I'm gonna create it here, and this is the initializer function. And now let's put it in the right place, which was
appinit.ts in a core src at the root.
Yeah. Exactly. And we can put it just below the app initializer.
For example, yeah.
First thing is, well, this is my personal touch here. So I like to deprecate the functions, which is like deprecation, because it's work in progress. So this way, nobody will use it even if this gets merged for some reason, and it reminds us that it's not ready to use. And we'll throw an error because it's not implemented yet, and we'll implement it later. And I'm going to export this function.
Exactly.
But I'm not sure this is enough.
That's not enough, yes, because we don't do deep imports from the test, so you need to export it actually from the Angular core package, and the Angular core package is going to be imported into the test.
Okay, so we're here in the application init, and the core, the index is the core TS, right?
Yeah, and here we need to export it. Like you see, you already have app initializer, the application init status.
And I can.
So yeah, perfect.
And from my tests.
Now you can import it directly from the app Angular core package.
Okay, here I can do the import.
Yes, and you see it's deprecated, so it's the right import.
Yeah, and is the path right? I don't know what so it's used.
Oh no! Angular. Oh, it doesn't. It does a deep import for this one, so
yeah, actually,
it's not a problem.
It didn't.
Okay, it doesn't mind because it's in the same package, but that would work also doing this. Yeah,
but this would be better.
Yeah.
As definitely. It provides also, like, for me, the tests are part of the documentation, so
Of course.
this will help. Now, in order to run the initializers, the way Angular does it, and also like some libraries like Angular testing library do this under the hood, is to run the initializers. There's this application init status injection token, right? It has like a promise, and we have
to check. We need to wait it, I think, because it's not synchronous. Because yes, it's not synchronous because you can pass it you can pass promises to the initializer function.
Exactly, or observables, right?
Yeah, or observables also.
So the proper way to do this is probably to await
and async.
And now we want to check that the provider function has been called, and we're doing this with the is initialized.
Yes, the object, the variable we change to be true.
And we just want it to be true, right? Now we can run the tests.
So right now the test will fail because we have no implementation.
True. But let's make sure it's failing.
It's a good. That's how we should do TDD. Write a test, make it fail, and then implement it correctly. So implement the function correctly.
Exactly.
So that the test passes. And for people that are not used to using Bazel, Bazel is it's a complex building tool used at Google to into the monorepo, and it checks all the dependencies and everything. So it takes a bit longer than what you are used to with, for example, I don't know, Jest and other test suites.
Yeah, but it scales more than like running everything.
Yeah, and it failed. And the what's important, it's just above. As you can see, it's because of work in progress that was thrown by
which makes
by the function.
total sense.
Total sense.
Okay, so right now I'm gonna keep the pending because the test is not passing yet, and we can commit this test and add provide app initializer test. Okay, blah, blah, blah.
Then next, we need to update the implementation.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Bam.
Right here. So what we want to return here is actually a provider.
Okay.
Yes, and actually we can you can type it by returning a factory provider.
Okay.
If I'm right, it's a public type.
It's factory
provider because we were going to use a provide factory.
Okay. Good.
Just check. I think it's public. Yeah.
Should we say that we're providing a factory, or should we?
It can be just a provider if you want.
Just a provider, because it's an
people don't care.
Internal detail, right?
Definitely.
And here, so I can provide. It's the app initializer.
Yep. And we call use factory.
We use the factory. We can run like this. Is this enough? Let's see.
So right now the test should work. No, we are got a failure. What's the problem?
We got a failure because
expected an array but got a function.
Yeah, because we have to use the multi-true.
Oh, we forgot multi-true. Yes, of course.
So this is why tests help. Cool.
Well, passes.
So now we have to think about the other test that you just mentioned. Is that it should
be able to inject
dependencies.
Exactly.
Then there's also another thing here that the function could return a promise or an observable.
An observable, yes.
And we have to make sure that the promise is awaited for and the observable is subscribed to. So we can add another test here.
Should handle observables
returned by the
function
initializer.
Perfect.
Okay. Right now, let's just duplicate everything.
Exactly.
And later, we'll factorize. We'll figure out a way to make this better. What do you think?
I would just create a provider with a string token, for example. That would work, and it works directly.
Okay.
For example,
for
example, test. Perfect.
Yeah. Perfect.
And now, if you want to inject that, you should be getting the value.
How do we name this variable?
You don't need it, actually. Just try and inject, and it should work.
Yeah, but how do we make sure that it was called? It was injected. See, that's why I was like, oh,
okay.
the
Then maybe
injected value. I was thinking something like this.
Perfect. So we're getting a string. That's what we want.
And
now you can test it afterwards. After this line.
And
to be test
and test token to make the test a bit more readable.
If you want to be clean, you can create an injection token, because it's not really recommended to use strings as a token.
And which might, I don't know, break someday.
Yes, maybe, probably.
Very far away from it.
So test token. A string.
This is better, right?
That's ideal, I'd say.
What's wrong?
It's okay. Now you pass the token. So right now it should throw a NG201, 203, if I remember correctly the code.
Wow. Okay. So let's bet on it.
203 and NG203.
Exactly. Good one. So the injection is not working because we're not running injection context.
Exactly. That's what we need to add.
Let's make a commit. Actually, we could add a reason here. Back to the implementation. This is where we have to grab the injector.
Exactly.
Like this, maybe.
In injection context. Yep.
Yeah. And it takes the injector. It's not a method of the injector. It's a function that takes the injector, right? And now.
So you have the final implementation that we would need for our function. Great. You didn't.
Yeah, right.
This, and now it should pass. Yeah.
And
you can check the test. So the
previous test is passing.
We can modify the other test.
So it's async. And here we want to make this asynchronous.
Yeah. So either we test the observable or the promise, like whatever you want. Well, because you wrote observable, but if you want to go with the promise,
let's
go with promise. Async.
Async initializers.
Perfect. Even better.
We could use like a promise and make sure that
it runs a macro task. Yes.
It runs as a macro task. So we're sure that this will run before. We want to make sure that the done promise is really waiting for this to return. How much time? Okay.
We're good.
It's failing.
And what's false to be true?
Because in our code,
we didn't return. Oh, yeah, right.
We didn't return this.
So the initializer wasn't waiting for the async we're returning. So yeah.
Exactly. And here, by the way, we can also update the type, which should be actually this type.
Actually the same.
So now the tests
will pass.
Now that the tests are passing, we can make a commit here.
So now we have the basic test we wanted. We have the implementation. We did export it. And what we still have the documentation to write. And there is one last thing that's at least required, because we could keep the test like that, even if we could refactor it and improve a bit. Let's say we have reusable code and everything. There's one last thing that we need. Angular uses what we call golden files that are like definition of the public API. It just shows to the people reviewing the PR if the public API surface does increase or is modified. That's the file you are pointing to. If you open it, you will see that every package has a markdown file in public API that will display the API surface. Yeah, so the public API, that's something we need to update actually. If you can show, yes, the index. In core index, and you show here we have everything. That's the all the public APIs. Yeah, do not edit it. It's generated.
Okay. And this way, when you want to review, you don't have to go into like all the different TETS files. You just have like the public API here.
That's the public API file. It allows us to really see if there are changes to the surface.
Cool. So for instance, the init status here, we can see it, and there is the done promise, and there is no run initializers because it's not public. So it's
exactly, that's one of the points. Yeah, and as you can see, also it points out every method that's not or every property that's not documented in the source files. So it also helps to see if maybe we want to document any of the properties of the class.
So now we can generate the public API, right?
Yeah, but first we need to add it to mark it as a public API also in the GS doc.
Okay.
So in place of the deprecated, now that it's implemented, just add a public API.
It's public API like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, and just maybe write a small description of what the function does.
This is okay. Syntactic sugar for the following.
And now you can just run the golden update. Yarn, basil, run. On some location, so it's package core, just like that.
Core API
dot accept. That's the script that updates the golden.
Okay.
So if you run it, we will show.
I also noticed that there is a test which is called packages core API. There's a test there, and that tests that the public API was generated, right?
Exactly. It's not that it's generated. It just compares it between the existing. So it sees if there is a change with the MD file that's present in the repo and the one that's currently generated. And if it's a difference, that will throw that the API changed and you need to update the golden files.
Okay.
And actually, if you don't want to remember that command, you have one in the package.json that runs for every package of the repo.
Yeah. So it's this one. Yeah.
Exactly. The one you see, the ones for Cheng is the one that says the difference, and this one is the one that updates.
But this is way slower because it will go through all the packages.
Exactly, all the packages.
Yeah, okay. And this one will mainly be used as a PR check to make sure that you've updated
that's one of the checks we run when we are testing the PRs.
Cool.
Oh, perfectly.
And here,
and now you see you will have the delta on the file,
which I already closed. Golden's core index MD.
Bingo, and it's public and it's everything here.
Great.
So we have the basic things we require for the PR right now.
Great. So we can just go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a commit.
And actually, so just some context: when you open a PR and do some commits, the feature commits will only get merged in minor version or in major version. So what we are looking here probably is provide a small help that we could land in a patch version. So we could see it as a refactor, like we provide a small helper. I would try to land it as a refactor comment.
Oh, okay.
Actually, small changes that doesn't bring let's say minor or major features, you can land them as a small refactor.
Yeah, but actually, we would be lying a bit, right?
It depends. It's not really a feature, so I won't say it's a problem.
Okay, so now I'm gonna squash this. Yeah. Let's rebase this here. We'll squash all these commits into one. Okay, and wow, okay. Refactor core.
Yeah.
Provide app initializer.
And also one last thing, we need at least a body of 20 characters into the commit message.
And I don't remember the syntax. It's co-authored by.
Maybe. And now
I can
you
push
push
this.
it. Yep. And you can go to the Angular repo, and it will prompt you to open a PR.
Oh, okay. Or you can also do it from the command line if you're a geek. Or you can let's keep it
Got the
simple.
CLI, yeah. Okay.
Let's keep it simple and let's do it.
Because either you go on your repo or on the main one, and it will prompt you.
Show you.
Yes, perfect.
Which is like an amazing feature on GitHub. And here it says, okay, I'm merging this into main.
Into a main. And you can have a look at the checklist there is on when you open a PR.
Okay, please check all the commitments follows our guidelines. Tests for the changes have been added. Docs have been added, updated. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So
put an X. Perfect.
PR type.
And like I said, it's a refactoring, no functional change, no API change, but what I do mostly, but it's not. Let's say when they do say these kind of things, there is no breaking change. That's what
that's what they mean. Okay, not add-in surface. What is the new behavior? This is the current behavior.
Most of the time, you don't need to add everything. You can check no. There's no breaking change.
Okay.
It's actually mostly a guideline to help people land their first PR, so they know what they need to check when they open a PR, when they provide some code, to be sure that they know what we require from them.
Okay. Cool.
So, and now when you create the PR, you will see we have a lot of checks that will be done. For example, inclusive language. We got a linter that would also run. The linter, I need to trigger it myself.
Oh, I didn't fix. I didn't run the linter.
That's one thing we should try. You should run on your machine. Yarn lint. Will take like 15 seconds. It's not very long.
Oh, it's not. Okay,
no,
it's fast.
It's quite fast.
And does it fix?
No, it can fix formatting, but not, for example, missing semicolons. It will prompt you to do it.
There's also the CLA that I've already signed before, but usually you'll have to do it
to sign it. So that's just that you recognize that you are pushing to an open source project that is maintained by Google. So you need to sign it.
Okay, so while this is checking, let's wrap it up. So what we did is that we started with our tests first. To make sure that everything is tested and that we're focused on what we're doing. You don't have to do that. It's not mandatory. You don't have to do TDD, but that's what we did. We've implemented the feature. We've run the test with Bazel and everything. We created the PR. We've added the docs.
We updated the Goldens.
We have updated the Goldens, which is very important.
Yeah.
And we forgot the lint that we've just run, but the CI is there to remind us if we forget things. And now we can still work on the PR later and refactor the tests if we want to make them cleaner and react to and adapt or refactor our code depending on the feedback we'll get from the Angular team, right?
Exactly.
And then we're done.
Yeah, so most of the work is done right now. Is just some small optimization and maybe correct when we get some feedback from the reviewers.
Cool.
So good job, Younes.
Thank you for helping me send my first contrib, I guess, to Angular, and hopefully it will land.
It will land. We'll see what will happen, but I think it's a good contribution.
Cool. Well, thank you, Matthieu, on behalf of the community for your help and for all the contributions you're making.
Thanks for having me, Younes. It's fun doing this.
Cool. Let's do this again.
And let's see you next time, guys.
Yeah, and see you soon. Let's have a beer. Or not, don't live that far away. So. Okay, bye. Thank you, Matthieu.
Bye.
Bye.